Nigeria faces a surge in targeted attacks on Christian communities, with thousands killed, churches burned, and fear spreading across the Middle Belt. While NGOs warn of escalating persecution, the government insists violence strikes all faiths. Nigeria is facing an ongoing security challenge, with reports suggesting targeted violence against Christian communities. According to a report by Newsweek, non-governmental organizations and advocacy groups have raised concerns that Christians are increasingly targeted, particularly in the central region of the country known as the Middle Belt. The area, located between the predominantly Muslim North and Christian South, has seen frequent clashes involving minority ethnic groups and disputes over land and farming rights. Nigeria's population is divided roughly equally between Muslims and Christians, with Muslims comprising around 53.5% and Christians around 46% according to CIA estimates. Nigeria's history has seen its fair share of communal violence rooted in deep-seated political, ethnic and religious tensions, with notable examples including anti-Igbo pogroms in the north leading to the Nigerian Civil War, and various religious clashes and ethno-religious conflicts between Christian and Muslim communities that have occurred since the mid-20th century. International Christian advocacy group Open Doors lists Nigeria as the 7th most dangerous place for Christians on its World Watch list and says,
Christians are gradually being wiped out in Nigeria as millions face death, displacement and kidnapping from jihadist groups. More Christians are killed for their faith in Nigeria than in the rest of the world combined.
International advocacy groups, including Open Doors, report that Nigeria ranks as the 7th most dangerous country for Christians globally. Data suggests that out of more than 44,000 Christians killed worldwide for their faith in the past year, more than 3,000 were in Nigeria. However, there are conflicting statistics about how many Christians have died and how many have died as a result of their faith, making it difficult to say for sure. According to Newsweek, since the start of Boko Haram's insurgency in 2009, more than 19,000 churches are estimated to have been attacked, burned, or closed forcibly.
The violence has been attributed to various jihadist groups, including Boko Haram, ISWAP, and militant elements of the Fulani ethnic group. Umayag Balasi and Musa both warn that the groups are increasingly capable of expanding their operations further south. While Christians form nearly half of Nigeria's population, the pattern of attacks has disproportionately affected them in the Middle Belt.
Christian human rights lawyer Jabez Musa, speaking under a pseudonym for safety, confirmed that attacks on churches and Christian communities have been persistent. He says, "The assaults occur on Christians every 2 days on an average, often involving small armed groups on motorcycles or larger, coordinated attacks using firearms, including AK-47s. Musa described 2 different types of common attacks Christians face in the country.
One where jihadists will come in their hundreds on their motorbikes, with other attackers on the back, with AK-47s, and then descend on a village and burn, kill, and ransack the village. Other times, very few of them will appear on motorcycles, attack individuals in a few villages, and then disappear."
International observers, including US congressional bodies, have examined the situation, while some representatives have called for Nigeria to be designated a country of particular concern. Under the International Religious Freedom Act, others caution against oversimplifying a complex environment. According to Open Doors and several other NGOs, this violence is being carried out by Islamic jihadist groups, including Fulani militants, Boko Haram, and Islamic State West Africa Province. There have been several mass trials of Boko Haram insurgents since 2009, with 125 convicted last July, according to Nigeria's Attorney General's office. Before that, the last mass trials of Boko Haram suspects took place between 2017 and 2018. Reuters reported 163 people were convicted and 887 set free. Inter-Society's Umayag Balasi called this as a self-indictment, arguing that a country cannot claim to have international religious freedom if Christians and non-jihadist Muslims are killed on religious grounds.
So if the government is saying it's not only Christians, Muslims are also being killed, then it has accepted that Muslims and Christians are being killed on the grounds of religion, proportionality apart.
The reports of the claims of targeted Christian killings and religious persecution haven't been independently corroborated. However, if they are true, the situation in Nigeria remains fluid. Security experts and human rights organizations emphasize the need for sustained monitoring, increased protection for vulnerable communities, and measures to address both religious and ethnic dimensions of the violence. The Nigerian government, however, has vehemently pushed back against these narratives, saying it oversimplifies a complex, multifaceted security environment and plays into the hands of terrorists and criminals who seek to divide Nigerians along religious or ethnic lines. Nigerian Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris Malagi, in September responded to these claims saying,
"The violent activities of terrorist groups are not confined to any particular religious or ethnic community. These criminals target all who reject their murderous ideology, regardless of faith. Muslims, Christians, and even those who do not identify with any religion have suffered at their hands."
Former Nigerian Minister of Aviation, Femi Fani-Kayode, echoed similar sentiments while addressing the issue of a Christian genocide in Nigeria. Fani claimed that the renewed Western focus on Christian persecution in Nigeria was a deliberate effort to punish the country for condemning Israel's actions in Gaza during a recent United Nations session. He questioned the sudden concern of Western countries over the plight of Nigerian Christians, alleging that their interest was not genuine but part of a larger strategy.
The second point to grasp is that the reason that they are now all talking about Nigeria and what they have labeled as Christian genocide is not because they love Nigeria or care about Nigerian Christians, but because they want to shift the world's attention away from Gaza and focus it on Nigeria.
They also want to punish us for taking a bold stand at the United Nations against the genocide that the Israelis have unleashed on Gaza, which they are supporting and funding. Standing up for humanity, that is our crime. And I, for one, as a Nigerian, make no apology for it. Nigeria's security landscape remains tense, with reports of targeted attacks on Christian communities sparking concern, while the government emphasizes that violence affects citizens of all faiths. Observers note the complexity of the situation, calling for careful monitoring, nuanced analysis, and efforts to protect vulnerable populations without oversimplifying the country's multifaceted security challenges.